skateboarders got together for an informal competition recently, and this took place at Dolores Park. At that point, cops alleged that people living in the neighborhood called the police because they were blocking the streets, making a lot of noise and being disruptive. At that point, several police officials showed up and things started to get pretty bad. At this point, there were reports that some of the skateboarders were annoyed that the cops were blocking off the street and not allowing them to compete with one another. The skateboarders did not have a permit for this competition, thus making it informal. And so now there are videos circulating around the internet showing how one skateboarder was going down the hill and how a cop might have intentionally, purposely gotten in the way so he would fall and hurt himself. Now, I'm gonna let you guys judge for yourselves. We have the video, take a look.
Okay, so one part of the story I think is, it's too much to say obvious, so there's two parts. The kids are trying to ride through these cop cars that have blocked the street because they can't get them off the street, so they're trying to block the street so they won't keep skating. 3 skateboarders have already gone through that little hole between the cars. Everybody's having fun. They're like, yeah, and then they're all trying to defy the cops by going through there. So this cop gets in the middle of that, and in that video, you can see he throws a shoulder, right? That's my assessment. We'll see what you guys think. And don't throw a shoulder at the kid because he's gonna go flying like he did. He could have gotten really, really, really hurt. As it was, he was pretty hurt.
Right.
So that part is pretty obvious. But the part to me that's a little bit more suspect, and then some of you guys are gonna hate me for this, but so they were doing hill bombing, and so they go down the huge hills in San Francisco as fast as they can. And then a lot of them crash, of course, and then you have to call ambulances, and that happened actually repeatedly when this incident was going down. And they called an ambulance for that kid, but they called an ambulance for a couple other kids because they go all the way down the hill and they crash, and they're like, oh, okay, now I'm gonna need taxpayer dollars to bail me out because I was so stupid that I went down this hill at this speed and I made a mess of it. And so, look. Am I the kind of guy who wants to overregulate skateboarders? No, they showed up without permits. Dude, skateboarders aren't gonna get permits. I'm fine with, of course, that's totally fine, right? And I'm trying not to be too much of a grandpa, but on the other hand, skateboarders are sometimes total dicks. So they jump in front of your car and then they look at you like, until somebody runs you over, and then it's not ha 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 anymore. So, and then what do? Then they go from like ha 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 to, oh my God, I can't believe you did that.
Yeah. Okay. You know what really grinds my gears? Those skateboarders and those cyclists.
Yes, drop it. It's in a poll we have too, though, is should the skateboarders have been fined? Because it's not an interesting question. Should the cop have clotheslined the dude? He didn't clothesline him, but he bumped him enough. No, of course he shouldn't have done that, right? And should they get a permit? No, dude, I'm not gonna have you get a permit every time you want to go skateboarding, right? But if the neighbors said we cannot use the street, they keep going up and down the street. We're afraid that if we go on the street, we're gonna hit them. So and they're going for hours and hours and hours. Can you guys help us? So the cops come. They didn't arrest anybody, and I'm not saying put them in jail. That's crazy, but I would fine them.
You'd fine them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I wish I knew. Look, if what the neighbors were saying is true, right? Because keep in mind, the cops are saying the neighbors called us and that's why we showed up. If what the neighbors are saying is true and what the cops are saying is true, then yes, I agree with you, they should be fined because you can't block roads like that, right? Especially just for fun and games. I guess I agree with you, sure.
So I say they should be fined. By the way, we want your answer to tytnetwork.com/skateboard. Should the San Francisco cops have fined the skateboarders? By the way, here I'm being more draconian than the cops, because the cops did not find them, did not arrest them, did not do anything, except for the fact that they shouldered them into oblivion. Okay, so except for that giant exception. So JR, curious what your take on it is.
Well, fines come from anybody that's doing things that they're not supposed to be doing. If they're riding down the middle of the street, you're gonna get fines in general for that because you probably can't do that. I'm assuming that's somewhere on the books. So fining is probably something that could already happen. I don't like these things, but I think it may help. Whatever the equivalent of this is, like, you know, also skaters put like the wax on the sides of like stoops, maybe benches and stuff like that, and they can slide, and it really ruins everything that you're looking at. It's a big black streak of like tar or whatever it looks like, wax. And then so instead to stop that, they put these little bumps along like a thing that they would slide on. You can't slide across something that has a bunch of speed bumps on it. So I don't know the equivalent of this, but if they're starting to get improper people shooting down these hills and killing themselves, because they're going to eventually, I don't know what it is you put where skaters can't do it anymore. Because finding them, first off, once you do find them, looked like there was 50 of them out there, right? They're not all gonna pay the fine, they probably can't pay the fine, and then they'll just do it the next day.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that's the case. So by the way, by the end there was 400 of them out there. And so I could be totally wrong about this, and I'm sure that it's a mix. But I feel like some of the skate guys come from wealthy families, and they're like, there's no consequences. They know, like, I own the world, so I go down your hill anytime you like. And I don't give a damn, right?
Not that they're poor, just like they won't pay the fine, or they'll be like, oh,
no, their dad's gonna pay the fine.
Or it's not gonna be deterrent is the point. Like whoever, even if it gets paid, it's not. They're not gonna go, I'm gonna stop doing that. I got a $50 fine.
You know, that's a good point. Fines aren't usually a deterrent.
No, I don't know, but look, or maybe you're a kid and $50 is a lot. $500 is an unbelievable amount, right? And so I'm positive that some of them are poor, middle class, etc. And I don't want to devastate the guys that are not in good economic condition in the first place. On the other hand, like their attitude of I don't care about anybody else as long as I'm having fun is super annoying to me.
Yeah, just wait until you're an adult. You never get to have fun.
What is the thing? And also, I assume some of these guys are probably of age. I'm sure plenty of these guys are over 18 years old. So we call them kids, but they're probably.
It's almost the thing that bothers me is that it's almost a Republican attitude. Like I have no empathy for you. I have no empathy for anybody on the street. I have no empathy for anyone else. Hey man, look, it reminds me of Turkish traffic where everyone believes that they own the road.
Yeah.
It's their road. Everybody else is on there for reasons they can't understand.
Well, Turks feel like they own everything, so.
Well, that's a whole other thing. All right, now normally, this is really unfair because normally we go to the Chief Justice, Jesus Godoy, who is a skateboarder, and he'd regulate on our ass. He's not here today, Jacori's here. Jacori, you're filling in for the Chief Justice.
Indeed.
So what
Chief
say
Justice
you?
Junior. I agree. It's a violation of traffic. It's something that interrupts the flow of things. I totally get that. You don't throw people into cars, man. Come on. You're there to protect safety. JR brought up a really good point of there's speed bumps. That's something that you could install because
They'll jump the bumps.
That's not at those speeds. That's not something you can really just jump over. And I think that would just cause general safety overall. Because I agree, the fines, you can fine how many max before the rest of them get away, and then they're back the next day. That's gonna deter 1, 2 of them of all economic standings all over the spectrum, you know? It's not gonna stop the real problem.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point. Both of you guys do that. Makes me reconsider it a little bit. Because in order to give somebody a fine, you have to get them to stop for a second and write out the fine, and they're not gonna stop, and they're gonna chase them down, and then there's gonna be beatings. Just keep it real, and somebody's gonna get their skateboard broken over their heads. So anyway, nonetheless.
This is a war that's been going on for about
Forever.
60 years now at least, since skateboards were first invented. It's not something that's ever gonna go away. You live in San Francisco with huge hills. It's kind of something you have to look out for. There are plenty of look out for kids signs. Kids kind of make idiotic moves sometimes. You got to be aware of what you're doing when you're operating. When you're operating a vehicle that can take out a pedestrian. You live in a hilly city. There are going to be people on skateboards. There are going to be people on bikes. I always say that I do BMX, and it's a similar hobby. I always say that I'm safer on my bike than say a 40-year-old woman that just got a new bike and is riding for the first time. There are all sorts of people over the road with all different abilities of riding, and they're honestly people that are a danger to themselves already. That's kind of a risk of being on the road. Everyone's all over the spectrum of ability, so it's drive safely, drive defensively, and look out for pedestrians.
Yeah, these are reasonable points. I'm still voting for a fine. No, because there's got to be some consequence. If there's no consequence at all, they're like, okay, screw you, I can do whatever I want. By the way, the pendulum has swung too far. In the past, there'd be draconian punishments on skateboarding. This skateboarding's not allowed anywhere. We hate you skateboarders. It's like, calm down, dude. Let them skateboard in the park and have some fun, and it's okay. And they do that crazy stuff that I'd never do, and they break their ankles, and that's a sad day for them. I'm just saying that once you're like endangering other people, yes, I find you.
Did anybody else get hurt? Or is it just the skaters that are falling off their boards off these hills?
No, only in this particular case, as far as we know, only the skaters got hurt. But imagine if there was if the neighbors were like, okay, then screw it, I'm driving on the street. Then a lot of people could have gotten hurt. So, okay, I'm voting yes on a fine. What do you vote?
Sure. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna work, but sure.
Okay, we got 2 votes. What do you, JR?
No.
No. Ja'Cory?
I'm voting no.
All right, 2-2, jury of your peers. So that goes to you guys. You'll be the tiebreakers. Should San Francisco cops have fined the skateboarders? tytnetwork.com/skateboard. Okay, you will be the ultimate judge of this. And for the last time, because I know that you guys are all going to yell at me for the wrong things, the cops should not have put a shoulder into that kid. Okay, TYT membership gets you commercial-free Young Turks. Download it, stream it, podcast it, get all the network shows, and support independent media. tytnetwork.com/join.